Welcome to the Explainer. You ever find yourself in a training course learning things that, well, don't quite connect with what you actually do every day? Today, we are diving deep into a huge question in professional education. In a world that's changing by the minute, what's really the best way to learn complex skills? We're going to explore this fascinating clash between rigid, certified training and a much more flexible, real-world approach.
All right, so let's set the stage here. When you or I need to upskill, we're almost always caught in this tug of war between two very different ideas about how learning should happen.
I mean, think about it for a second. On one hand, you've got the certified path. It's proven, it's structured, it promises a certain standard of knowledge. But on the other hand, you've got this need for learning that's tailored to your unique reality, your daily challenges. It's a really tough choice.
And this quote from a student named John just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We are absolutely drowning in buzzwords and catchphrases, but we are starving for real, practical, how-to knowledge. This frustration is the real starting point for our journey today.
So, when you're faced with all that confusing jargon, what do? Well, it's natural to look for a reliable, credible source. And this is exactly what leads so many of us toward that structured path. And you know what? It's for a pretty good reason.
This really lays out the trade-offs that learners are constantly weighing. I mean, you can go it along with books and videos, but you miss that credibility check. John, the student we just heard from, made a very deliberate choice. He opted for certified training specifically because he wanted to learn from the source, Dr. Jeff Sutherland, the co-creator of Scrum. Now that's a powerful motivator.
For a lot of people, that credibility is everything. It's about cutting through all the noise to learn the right stuff directly from the people who created it. And that is the powerful case for structure.
But here's the twist. What if the expert trainers themselves, people like Riccardo Meriti and Thorolf J. Klatt, argue that a rigid structure isn't the whole answer? Let's dig into their very different and pretty radical perspective.
This right here is a massive shift in thinking. The whole idea is that in complex, adaptive systems, like your actual workplace, there's no such thing as a single best practice. No way. Instead, the most effective solutions have to emerge from understanding the specific patterns at play in your context. This quote gets right to the heart of it. The focus completely shifts. It's not just about delivering a fixed curriculum anymore. It's about responding to the real, evolving needs of the students in the room. The teacher's role changes from a lecturer to a facilitator of discovery.
And the inspiration for this is just brilliant. It comes from the pattern movement of architect Christopher Alexander. Think of it like this. Don't give everyone a rigid blueprint to build the exact same house. Instead, give them a shared language of proven patterns that they can combine and adapt to design their own unique solutions to their own unique problems. Okay, so we've got this really interesting conflict, right? Students are seeking credibility and structure, while expert trainers are pushing for adaptability and flexibility. The solution isn't about choosing a side. It's about blending them into a new, powerful hybrid model. This is not an either-or situation. A strong, certified framework can actually become the perfect container for a dynamic, student-driven experience. The certified structure provides the what, the core concepts, but the students, with their real-world context, define the how, and most importantly, the why.
The secret ingredient here is giving students agency. So how on earth do you do that in practice? Well, you give them the map and you let them help navigate the journey. And this is where a really cool tool called the Mobius loop comes into play. Instead of a linear A to B lesson plan, it maps out the entire learning landscape. This empowers the participants themselves to look at the map and decide, okay, where do we need to go right now? They literally choose where to explore from the middle, based on what's most valuable to them.
This all leads to something called a T-shaped training approach. So here's how it works. First, everyone gets a broad overview of the key concepts. That's the top bar of the T. But then, and this is the crucial part, the students guide the instructors on where to go deep. That forms the stem of the T. The class collectively decides what they want to achieve and, get this, they even create their own homework together.
So what actually happens when you blend this structure with this much flexibility? Well, learning completely transforms. It stops being a passive event and becomes an active, collaborative journey.
A student named Javier just nailed it with this quote. He said it becomes a joint venture. The classroom stops feeling like a lecture hall and starts feeling like a real team, a Scrum team, tackling real challenges together. And the outcomes are just so tangible. The different challenges that students bring into the room, those become an advantage. They become the curriculum. You're not just giving them answers, you're teaching them to fish, showing them how to use peer experience and even AI to solve problems in real time. The homework isn't some abstract assignment. It's a real-world experiment they designed together to run at their job. And maybe best of all, these classes build a lasting community of practice that supports them long after the course is over.
And look, this isn't just some nice theory. It really works. Reports from these kinds of iterative learning experiences show consistently high success rates. And it's working across an incredible range of industries, from organic farming to digital tech, with students tuning in from all over the world.
So what's the big takeaway here? By blending a solid structure with genuine student agency, we can create a learning experience that's so much more powerful than either approach on its own. And that doesn't just change a training class. It really challenges us to ask a bigger question. If we can solve learning this way, what other complex problems are we ready to rethink? Thanks for joining this explainer.